Hey everyone, welcome back to While You Were Cleaning. Today I have some easy Valentine Decor DIYs using all products from the Dollar Tree. I'm excited to get into today's DIYs. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll go ahead and get started. For this first DIY, I'll be using 2 packages of these grapevine hearts that are new this year at Dollar Tree. Also new are these Valentine fairy lights. These have a pink strand, but then the lights are red on those. So I'll be using 2 packs of those as well. I'm simply going to thread the fairy lights through the top of the heart. I did pass it through that first loop there, brought it back up around the top of the heart, and then through the second loop. And I did this for 5 of the hearts. I'm not securing them in place this way, so it'll be easy to adjust them once I have them hanging up where I want them in my home. This way you can adjust them and space them out a little bit more evenly. I added 5 hearts to 1 strand of the lights, and then I went ahead and added the other 5 hearts to the other strand of the lights. I twisted the strands together in the center, and then those are right on the center of my fireplace mantle. The battery packs I was able to have on both ends, and I was able to hide those behind something on my mantle. So here you can see how that first DIY turned out, and I really love this cute, simple DIY. Next, I'll be using one of these terracotta pots that come in a 2-pack. These are the larger terracotta pots that they have there in Dollar Tree. And then I'll also be using this I Picked You ribbon that I found earlier this year out with the Valentine items. So I'm going to measure how much of this ribbon I need for around the top of my pot. And then I just used some hot glue to hold it in place right on the center of that top ridge of the pot. You want to spread out your glue a little bit so it doesn't look kind of lumpy underneath the ribbon, so the ribbon can lay nice and flat. Next, I'm going to add into the bottom of this pot one of these styrofoam balls. I found those in Dollar Tree as well, and then some of this green moss. So first I added some hot glue to the bottom of this pot and pushed the ball in place, and then just filled the rest of the pot with that green moss. And then to finish off this project, I'm going to be using some skewers and some of these felt roses. I found these out with the Valentine items. I've seen some people haul some from the Crafters Square section as well. I will be using all 4 in this pack. So I cut off some of these skewers so that I could use them as stems for my roses, just to hold up the roses a little bit more in the pot. It took a little bit of testing and trimming to get these skewers to the correct length that I wanted them, but I just wanted them a little bit higher than the ridge of the pot so that they could hold the flowers upright in the center, and then the outside edge of my flowers are resting on the outside of the pot. And there are 2 larger roses and 2 smaller roses in this package. Here you can see how that cute little project turned out. I really love this one, and I believe that there were some other colors of roses there in the store as well. For my next project, I'll be using 3 of these 6-inch wood dowels, and then also 3 of these wooden hearts that I found in a multi-pack there at Dollar Tree. I'm going to hot glue the hearts to the end of each of my 3 dowels, and I'm going to be making arrows out of these. So this is kind of like the point at the end of the arrow. And then next I'm going to be using some yarn to finish off these arrows. I wrapped the yarn around a piece of scrap cardboard so that all of the yarn pieces would be the same length, and then I tied them in groups of 5 onto my dowel piece on the opposite end of where the heart is glued on. And then I did 5 groups of these. So each group has 5 strands of yarn, and then I did 5 separate groups, just knotting them right there at the top. There are so many color choices for yarn at Dollar Tree right now, at least at my stores, so you can use any colors that you want for this project. You could also use some string or some raffia, some twine, even some ribbon. Anything would look really great on this project. I pushed all of my yarn right to the end of the dowel piece there, and you could glue those to make sure that they stay on at the end. And then I just trimmed off any excess yarn so that it was straight there. And then I added yarn to my other two dowel arrows as well. And I just trimmed them in a couple different shapes. So this one I was V-ing in a little bit. The other one I just did in a straight line. And then lastly, I just kind of rounded the yarn there a little bit. You could do whatever you think looks good. You could cut it shorter if you like that better as well. And here's how that project turned out. I really love how these look, and I just added them to a glass votive container that I also found at Dollar Tree. You could do these with some longer dowel pieces as well. And for my last project today, we are going to be putting together a wreath. So I picked up one of these larger regular wreath forms there. These are the 18-inch wreath forms. And I cut off these little center bands so that I could just have the separate outside ring of this wreath to work with. So you can see here it's just one simple wire piece, and I'm just bending this into a heart shape. So there I did the V shape at the bottom, and then I'm just bending it down at the top as well so that it looks like the shape of a heart. And here I wanted to show you how that heart shape looks with this larger wreath form. And then I'm going to be adding some of this eucalyptus garland that I also found recently at Dollar Tree. They have these little loops on the end, so I just secured that right at the bottom V part of my heart with a little bit of floral wire. And then I just took all of this garland and just wrapped it around this wire form, going all the way around my wreath. And it is the perfect length to go all the way around this wreath just one time. If you can't find this garland in your store, they do have some other vine garlands there at Dollar Tree, so you should be able to pick up some of those, especially with the spring floral coming out. And then I went ahead and added a second garland of this same eucalyptus garland strand. I started it on one of the sides and then just again wrapped it all the way around the wreath form, going all the way around my wreath. This one was a little bit more bunched up, so I had to stretch it out a little bit to make sure that it went around all one time, but it ended again the same way, going perfectly around the wreath one time, and I secured that in place with a little bit of wire. Next, I'll be adding some of these little rose stems that I found somewhat recently at Dollar Tree, and I cut those off from the main stem right below where that bottom leaf was. I did use 2 stems of these roses, and then I'm going to secure these in place with some floral wire. I'm just going to work my way all the way around the wreath, and it did take all 10 of those individual stems, 2 of the large rose bushes that you can pick up at the store there. So this is about a $5 wreath project, and it turns out to be a great size. I just used 2 pieces of floral wire to hold down each of the individual stems of roses that I added to the wreath. I overlapped these rose stems a couple inches as I was working my way around the wreath, and these work really great for this because they're wired down the center, and so it's easy to bend them along with the wreath. And here you can see how that project turned out. I really love this wreath, and for $5, it is a great size, and the floral that I added to it just really fills out this wreath very well. So I'm very happy with how this project turned out and how all of today's projects turned out for Valentine Decor. I hope that you all enjoyed today's Valentine Decor video. Let me know down in the comments which of these projects was your favorite. I think that the wreath is definitely my favorite. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's video, and I'll see you next time.